It's Wednesday, after 10, a little bit after 10. I'm starting to get into the habit, it looks like, of starting later and later. It's not getting right on with it. Well, maybe it's, I don't know why that is, but it is. Um, well, what you see here is I found a couple of more interior detail pictures because I wanted to see the door, and it was ambiguous in kind of some of the other pictures about whether there was a trim around this or not, chrome trim on the door. On some pictures, it looked like it was, and some it didn't. The same thing is true of the door handle, that, but I'm not going to do anything with that. And here it's pretty clear that there's the metallic trim around the pedals, and that um, well, I don't know what that word would be. The rods, the connectors, those are chromed as well. So I'm gonna at some point today I need to do the door handle and the window crank, and I'm not going to try to paint this with silver paint. That would just that's going to be beyond my skill level. It just isn't going to happen. But what I can do is I've got that white chalk pencil that I used on the instrument panel, and I'm going to see how that looks. And it won't be silvery, but it'll be white, and it'll maybe give the impression, I'm giving the impression of, um, like, trim around that, we'll see. But the door handle and the window crank, those are the most critical parts. The other thing is I thought I printed this out, but I can't find it, so I reprinted it, is on the back here, on the stock, Mustang, this is a window. On this, there's louvers. On the outside, it's painted the body color, but on the inside, I thought for sure that there was some sort of like metallic screen kind of. So I'm not sure. I haven't looked at these parts yet. I'm going to pull them out of the box at some point in the future, and they'll be painted the black of the interior, but the metallic for the grill work. There's some other detail on the inside. I don't know what that is. Um, I don't think that's molded into the body of the car, but we'll see. So, what I'm going to attempt to do today is put the wash on the steering wheel so that it looks like wood, and then make a decision about whether I'm going to try to paint these tiny little spots, which are um, rivets essentially that hold the pieces of the wood together on the steering wheel. There's wood on the front and the back, and they're held together with a metal insert in the middle, it looks like. Um, I don't know what to do about the medallion in the center. I've got it painted white, but there's very clearly a blue and red medallion in the middle, and I don't I don't think I can pull that off. I'll see though. I've got a really, really fine tipped red pen. Maybe I'll attempt to make the circle. I could try that, but that would be later. So today I'm going to do some tiny little detail painting. Um, and maybe it'll work okay. Maybe it won't. We'll find out as it goes on. Um, we got the wheels put together. Oh yeah, and the dashboard. I need to finish the dashboard. Why do I have this? I don't know. It's just a piece of sprue. It goes out of here. Get this. See what I mean? This is supposed to have in the center. It's supposed to be a red circle around it, and then a red and blue logo. Yeah, that cap, whatever it is, isn't on here. So the thing I was talking about was, oh, now there's two lines. What's up with that? Yeah, okay, it's the inner one that's, chromed. The outer one is just the edging of the, whatever vinylish kind of faux leather they used. So, uh, this line here, supposedly chromed, and it's raised high enough I could probably oh, it's just so big, you know? If it were a little line, what I mean by big is there's a lot of it, and the more there is of it, the greater the chance there is of me making a mess of it, right? So if I got like this, I'd have to get all the way around this without messing up because I can't really touch up that black paint. I might, well, like I said, I might use the chalk pencil just to see what it looks like. Because with the chalk pencil, I can just get some water and wipe it. I can clean it off. But these bits, the door handle and the window crank need to be definitely painted. This is just going to be in the way forever, isn't it? I'm going to throw this. I'm going to attempt to throw this into the trash. I'll let you know if I got it in or if I missed. Nope, I tossed it up too high. It hit the lid, fell over behind it. Now it's on the floor. Yeah. Oh, this is the white charcoal pencil I was talking about. It's, I could just go, see, and if it doesn't work like it didn't there, then I can take a little piece of paper towel, that ever so slightly damp, and theoretically at least I can just wipe that off, and I can. I don't know. I don't know if that's worth doing or not. Well, I mean, I think I'm going to start with the steering wheel, and then move on to the door handle and the window crank. I tried to do the door handle and the window crank once before, and it failed. I just didn't get the paint work. Let me just say that it was one of those things where I got the brush to where I wanted it. Okay, but then when I moved the brush away from the work, I didn't lift it up directly. It sideways somehow, and it just messed up. Um, yeah, well, this okay. For this, I want a brush that's I guess I'll use this one. Use this one, and I'll just see how it goes. I've been using this a fair amount. I use this to get the base coat on the steering wheel. Um, there's a little red pen I was talking about. It leaves it. I used this on a submarine with great success in the kitchen. See, it's tiny, just a really thin red line, but I don't know. I don't know if I mess it up. It's hard to retouch it. Well, actually, not. That isn't paint. That's filler because there was a real indent. In the steering wheel. Let me see if I can get this in. Nope, that one was short. Is it 20 after yet? I'm trying to use up 20 minutes. No, my wall clock is way fast, 5 minutes fast. Oh, here. One thing about today is I haven't knocked anything over yet. I will say that. On Monday, by the time I got down here, I knocked over like 3 things, and then when I got down here, I knocked over the, wash water. So it was an altogether day. Okay, well, see how this goes, huh? Well, I'm continuing the New Year's, thing of not having anything to talk about. Just listen to the hum of the furnace running. It's I think that's what you need to do now. I'm gonna start on the back in case this isn't going well. Yeah, this isn't going well. What the heck? It's coming out really uneven. And what's happening is it's drying almost immediately. I don't want it to dry almost immediately. Well, this doesn't bode well for the rest of the day. This is starting out so awful. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna dilute it. It's better. Really quite thin, and I want it to not dry fast. This might work. Kind of splotchy, but not too bad. It looks more like wood than it did before. There's that. So when it's in the car, it'll be like this. That's how you'll be seeing it like that. Little dark spots are where the rivets go. I'm not going to mess with that. That's just, I'm starting to get to the beyond my skill level here. I'm going to call that a success. There, put that in here. Let that dry. Have to clean the brush. And I guess what I'm going to do next is work on the instrument panel. To use, let me see just how difficult this is going to be. Use a combination of this brush and the most infinitesimal, tiniest brush. Here. Okay. Yeah, it is what it is. And that's what it is. Be as good as it gets. Okay, well, that was a thing. I'm going to use this paint, the flat black paint, for this. And I know I've got to get silver paint on the door handles and the window cranks, but after I do this, it's very likely I'll need to be doing some silver paint touching up. What I will be doing is deferring that until I'm done putting black paint on this. Painting here to try to keep the gloss consistent. I decided to wear my Tom Terrific sweatshirt today. He was the greatest hero ever. That was his theme song. Tom Terrific, the greatest hero ever. I think he claimed to be the greatest hero ever because ever rhymes with clever. And then he could say, because I'm so clever, and it would rhyme. So in writing the theme song, so here's a question. In writing the theme song, was he the greatest hero ever? And then because he's so clever? Or was he so clever and the songwriters then decided that he was the greatest hero ever? Which direction did that go? Shall that forever remain a mystery? Or shall we speculate? It's always fun to speculate about things for which you have no evidence. I say that sincerely, because then you can have hours and hours of meaningless conversation about which came first, ever or clever. And if for some reason you actually knew, like maybe you were, you know, maybe you were the songwriter or related to them or something. Just maybe, I don't know anybody, if anybody was, but if you were for some reason, that would that would give you a first of all, it'd give you a very unfair advantage in the idle speculation about which came first, ever or clever. But it would just also end it because you'd know the answer, and then there wouldn't be any reason to just go on and on about wondering. Just wouldn't. So it would just end it right there. Oof. End of idle speculation. And then what would you do with the rest of the evening if you couldn't argue about which came first, ever or clever? Hmm? What would you do? I don't know what you do. I mean, you have to think of something, some way to spend the rest of the day without talking about that. This is the part. Teeny brush. One thing to get the black paint, teeny spots. Yeah. So I talked about these theme songs and stuff. The Tom Terrific theme song, whether or not you agree with whether Tom Terrific is the greatest hero ever, I think distinguishes itself because of its rhyming. I think its rhyming is not too bad. What is that? It's like there's a rogue bristle. So I need to look at this. I need to look at the radio a little bit later and see if I want to try to do something with the buttons and the dial. I don't know if I want to or not. So I'm gonna use this teeny brush to go around this logo. And then when I go back to the brush I started with to fill in the rest of the glove compartment here. So the song goes, I'm Tom Terrific, the greatest hero ever. Terrific is the name for me because I'm so clever. See that ever and clever thing that I was talking about? That's where that came in. And then he talks about his superpower, which is I can be what I want to be. And if you'd like to see, just follow me. And he says, I can be a plane up high, turns into a plane, diesel train go roaring by. So I go out of your way to say diesel train. Well, because this was long enough ago that not all trains were diesel. I mean, that was still a thing. I mean, sort of a thing. And those were mechanical objects, but he could turn into organics as well. A bumblebee or a tree. It's me being Tom Terrific. Not to say it. When you're in trouble, I'm there on the double. That's pretty good too, right? Double trouble. From Atlantic to Pacific, they know Tom Terrific. Now, when you get to that part, from Atlantic to Pacific, what you're doing is you're making it really clear that you're only talking that you're only likely talking about the North American continent. This is a U.S. thing, right? Although, in thinking about it, I don't know why you would want to be thinking about it, but if you were thinking about it, from Atlantic to Pacific could be anywhere. It could be all of South America, Central America. It could actually even be Europe and Asia, the whole Eurasian continent. We go from Atlantic to Pacific. So I'm going to have to I'm going to walk back. When I first talked about Tom Terrific, I had to walk back something I said about him, which was that he was like being jingoistic American. That isn't necessarily true. This from Atlantic to Pacific could be anywhere on the planet except Antarctica, which is not go, which is not attached to anything that goes from Atlantic to Pacific. Just surrounded by the Southern Ocean, and that's all it is. That spot, funny little spot get there. I don't know, but that's the reason why there's going to be silver paint touch up. There's tiny little spots of black paint that got there magically because I didn't touch them with the brush. But when you say Atlantic to Pacific, now that we understand it could mean anywhere, they know Tom Terrific, which is a pretty decent rhyme. that's why I'm saying that the Tom Terrific theme song is actually a pretty decent theme song. A much better theme song than, say, Mr. Ed theme song, which essentially rhymes horse with horse with horse with horse endlessly. It's a rhyme. It's very little exception. It's the only rhyme, of course, of course. It's not too bad. It's going to require fairly minimal touch up. Okay, now I need to do the top part here. Oh, he's just starting to misbehave, pulls away from himself. It's a really teeny brush for that part. So yeah, Tom Terrific was a pretty cool superhero, as superheroes go. He was a shapeshifter. There weren't very many of those, you know. So he was sort of unique in that way as well. Get up there that I didn't want to get up there, I guess. I'm not gonna worry about that. Yeah, because I need to paint the insides of the dial somehow. Just in. Okay. I did. A little silver there. A silver there. Silver's here. For the most part, it's coming out kind of okay. Um, I'm going to paint the inside of the dials, okay, with a glossy black paint to give it sort of the impression. That's all it's going to be, is the impression of um, having like a glass cover over it, kind of. I need to get this piece clean. So if I can cap it up now, I will minimize the opportunity of knocking it over and getting black paint on everything. So as you can see here, Tom Terrific. Can't see it. It's not on camera really. Tom Terrific and Mighty Manfred was his faithful companion. Mighty Manfred was a wonder dog. And wonder what that means, right? Go ahead and wonder. Mighty Manfred's superpower, being a wonder dog, was basically pretty much just sleeping. I have to admire that. If I were a wonder dog, I would want my wonderfulness, my wonderness to be just sleeping. Yep, that's what I would want. So these things have little raised dials on them that I'm going to try to capture with the white chalk pencil. And in the case of the tachometer, well, both of them really. Find the picture. Yeah, see, they were black. They were black with white markings and a red pointer. And I'm going to see if see if the pointer see if the pointer part actually exists on the model, and if it does, I'm going to use the red pen to mark that. Just like I'm going to attempt to use the red pen to put the circle on the inside of the steering wheel. And the glove, yeah, this is coming out adequate. So far, it's looking adequate. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to be using the really fine pointed. Actually, I'm going to use the one in between. Get out the third fine pointed brush to paint the insides of the dial, I think. This. I think I use this one. Why not just use them all? Um, this paint, this paint is a little glossier, and I think it's going to be too thick. I think what I'm going to end up having to do is thin it just a little bit, because I want it to be really thin on there so that whatever there is of the embossed dials and markings, um, don't get covered over with the paint. Mm. Forgot to mention, I've got a call coming in at about 11:15, in about 15 minutes. When the call comes in, I will need to answer that, and then I will need to take a break, and the break could be fairly lengthy. It could be like a half hour. Okay. So, yeah. So buttons. Let's see how this works. a little bit of water in there. A bubble. A little bit ragged. Problem here is, is that there are little raised bits on the inside of the dial, but they're right up against the bezel. And so the brush catches on them as it passes over them. Got paint up onto the bezel. Just a little bit up. See, for the most part, that that actually worked pretty well. I want to check one. I need to check the radio now that I've got this glossy black paint out. How the radio, there's a good picture of the radio here. So those are black buttons. Yep. Okay, so do this. Close. Need to do a tiny bit silver. That I came pretty close. Might have to go back and forth a little bit. The dial, I'm gonna try. Should have done this with the buttons. So I need to fix that button there. Okay. I'm looking at tiniest little bits. No, maybe that's touching up to do with the other black. On those bottom here as I'm looking at them. Just got little bit of tiny bits of silver paint where I didn't want it. Okay, that's okay. Spot there. Just little inconsistencies in the coverage. It sometimes happens with paint. It looks like it covers, and then when it dries, you just see some spots that were not like here. I'm just seeing little spots that weren't covered. And go, how did that happen? And then I put paint on them. Why is there no paint there now? What is that? Hey, that's weird. It's like a hair or a fuzzle or something. I don't think it was a loose bristle. Just a piece of like cat hair. Weird. I don't know why I'm messing around with this little tiny little spots that you can't see. You won't be able to see them. Okay. Well, got this down now. Need to do some silver touch up there, a little bit there, tiny bit in the corner here, a little bit on the radio dial. Um, Otherwise, I think this is looking pretty good. Yeah, totally ready to beat this. Oh, there's my alarm. That tells me that I need to be ready to pay attention for the phone call that's coming in. So what I can't do at the moment, what I can't do at the moment is is do any serious painting, okay? Because then the phone call will come in. So after the phone call comes in and after the break that will accompany the phone call, I will be touching up the silver paint here. See it just little bits at the top there, a little bit there, a little bit on the radio button, tiny bit down here in the corner. Okay. And then I'm going to make an effort to highlight with the white chalk pencil the dials and things on here. And then when I'm doing the silver paint, I am going to tackle these things there, the door handles and window cranks. And I need to paint silver around the edges of this so that the white doesn't show once it's inserted. This goes there. Yep, that. So I'm going to clean the brushes here. Clean this brush. Make sure it's clean. Well, while I'm waiting, I'm going to really make sure they're clean. I'm going to give them a little isopropyl alcohol wash. I don't know if that makes any difference or not. Bob Ross does that with his brushes. Um, so yes, the things that need to be done yet is using this teeny little brush to paint the door handles and the window crank, do the touch up on the silver on the rest of it. Um, and then I'm going to try to make the red circle around the logo I'm gonna try that on the steering wheel. I think it would just look see what I mean? It's got a red circle around the outside, a little red bar, and then a blue thing in the middle. I'm not sure. It's a parrot. Weird. Okay. Some sort of bird. I didn't I never noticed this before. It's down here on the floor mat. It's a red circle with a perch, and then there's a blue bird. It says parrot. Why why is there a parrot logo? I don't know that. That's a weird thing. Why is there a parrot logo in the middle of the steering wheel? But it's clearly there. It's there. You can see it here, and you can definitely see it here. So this raised rim here isn't really silver. I'm gonna try it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna be able to paint a miniature parrot though. I'm not gonna be able to paint a little miniature parrot in the middle of the steering wheel. It's got me baffled, I guess. Well, I'm going to yeah, I'll just talk a little bit more about what I'm going to do until the phone call comes in. Okay, I'm going to keep this out, try to make the red circle. I'm going to keep this out to try to put markings on these dials. I'm going to also with the red pen, the pointer on the dials is red. And if I can find it, if I can see it on there, I'm going to try to make that red as well. The tiny little chrome silver details here, and on the pedals. I'm going to try to do it on the pedals. I've got a plan for that. That might work. Might work. I'm not sure. The other thing I'm going to do, depending on how much time there is after the phone call that I have to take, it might take up a lot of time. Usually they last at least a half hour when I get those. Um, is if I get past the silver painting on the handles and the touching up, okay, if I get past that today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get I'm going to pull some parts out of the box that I'm going to be needing for the body of the car. And those include the louvers that go in the side of the car here. Okay, those get painted body color. And the front panel and the rear panel, because those have to be painted the body color, including the stripe. And so, despite what the instructions say, those need to be attached to the body of the car before I do any painting on it. Okay, it's just they just have to be. That's the way it has to be. Um, yeah, I'm not sure when the call is going to come. It's like I'm sitting here wasting time. I don't know if I'm wasting time or not. I could be doing something, but I don't want to get started on something and then have be interrupted. Um, I know what I'll do. I'm going to get those parts. It just isn't going to hurt anything to pull those parts out of the box and cut them off the screw because I can stop. I can interrupt that at any moment. These are the louvers I was talking about. Oh, the insides of those are terrible. Okay, that's going to take a little work. So this is the outside. The outside has these louvers that are painted the body color. So those will have to be installed before I do any painting on the body. The insides, insides of the louvers are supposed to look like that, and they're not going to. Okay, I mean, because those things are not printed on the little louvers. But what is printed on the inside of the little louvers is molding flaws. There's a circle molding molding circles here and here. So the insides of this will have to be sanded flat, so that those don't show. And I think what I'm going to do, rather than trying to make these vents like that, is I'm just going to paint the whole inside metallic. I'm going to take those off. I'm just do that now. And then the front and rear body panels are on the other piece of sprue, and I'll get to those in just a bit. But if the phone rings, then I'll just be able to stop. I also probably should test fit these, shouldn't I? I mean, they're panels. You can see that they're panels on the inside and outside. So if it's not a perfect fit, if there's a seam around the edges, that is perfectly fine. The seam line, because there should be a seam line. I've got it on these to get them ready to use. I need to sand off the tiny little bits of sprue that are attached, and then sand that flat so that those circles are gone, because you will be able to see those if you look through the side windows after it's assembled. I don't know if you can hear that. One of the dogs decided that it's a good day to run around. He has been just spring fever. The weather's been unseasonably warm the last couple of days, and it will be for the next couple of days too. It's like a month ahead of time, which is not unusual given, the situation that we're in here. What is that? That's just nothing. I guess these are the last pieces that are on here. See this kind of stuff here? See this? That really thin plastic thing? That's the kind of flashing that you get when the molds don't fit together. That's the kind of plastic that oozes out, and that's significant lumps of plastic there. Yeah, these all need to be test fit. Yeah, flashing all around the outside of this. We'll see what kind of fit and finish we got going on here on this car. It might be this might be an authentic 1965 fit and finish kind of situation, which is to say, significant body panel gaps, significant uneven body panel gaps. There was a lot of that. If you see a restored car, they almost always have taken the car apart and put it back together so that it actually looks better than it did when it came out of the factory. But it was extremely common to have the body panels not fit very well. What else is there? Is this the only other part? The hood? Well, I might as well do this too. This is another one of those things. It doesn't get attached. It doesn't get cemented onto the car. It's meant to open and close. So it's got little tiny hinges on it that are it's almost like yelling, break me, please. Snap me off so that it doesn't work. So parts, these parts need to be painted black on the inside to match the inside of the car, which is in a box over there. And then the inside of the hood, I have to look to see. I had a picture of the engine bay, but I can't remember. Seriously, can't remember whether the inside of the hood was painted the body color or whether it was black. I don't know if I've got that picture down here or if I left it upstairs. I'm not sure I printed it out. So I need to sand the screws off. No, I didn't print that. The inside of the engine bay. No, during the break, maybe I'll take a look at it. It's not real urgent yet because these aren't prepped in time. But if I prep them now, oh, there's the call. So I'll be taking a break. See you soon. Again, I just had a break that I had a phone call that I had to take, and now the phone call is over, so I'm back. The paint is drying okay. It's the application of the paint that sometimes is a problem. But this came out like 85% okay. There's just little touch up there and there and there. Just little, oh, excuse me, little bits of touch up that need to be touched up. Um, but the thing that needs to be done, I've been putting this off for months now, is the door handles and the window crank. So I I need to I need to just try to do it. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. How have you been? I missed you last week because I was gone. I didn't have a chance to explain that because um, over the weekend there was an opportunity last weekend, not this one that just ended, but the one before that, to go to Chicago for most of the week and see museums and a play and stuff like that. So that's what I did. So I apologize for that, but I'm glad to be back. And yep, and what I've done is I've piled up a bunch of stuff. Maybe I don't know when. One of these days, I need to do a major renovation of this work area. It's really become it has just become unusable. I mean, it just really has. So what I've decided is that I'm going to do my best to paint the door handle and the window crank here and here. But as you can see here, they're inside of a little panel. You can't. It's all black on black, and it disappears on the screen. But these little bits are inside of a panel, and what that means is that if I get it on the black, I can touch it up inside the panel, which gives me a little bit more reassurance that I've got some little bit of not protection from, but I've got a way to correct the problem if the problem were to become a real problem. Just in terms of messing up the paint. But I've been putting this off for a long, long time, and now I can't put it off any longer, really. So I'm going to just do my best here, do my best to get these done. I'm gonna have to keep cleaning the brush. It's a tiny, tiny little brush, so the paint dries on the tip of it extremely quickly. I might be able to there's some obvious flaws. I might be able to fix those fairly easy. I don't know. I just I might be able to fix them. With tiny touches of black paint. No, I messed that up. Okay. Well, like I said, I hope I'll be able to do some touching up. The angle on this is just not good for me. I'm being unidextrous here. think I think the spots that need touching up are small enough that I can use the flat black paint pretty easily. Tiny, tiny dots that I don't think they'll show. Look at these petals. So the edges of the petals, I are supposed to be chromed like that. Oh my, okay. So was that little circle? I hadn't noticed it before. Sometimes, sometimes they mold in like no detail at all, and other times there's just amazing detail. But the brake pedal has a circle that's raised and is supposed to be painted. Yeah, I want to get the tops of the pedals. Those are the parts that really show. If I can get those painted adequately, that would be good. It's not too bad. A little touch up there than that pedal, I think. I'm not sure. Really, I bumped the brush into the transmission housing. A little silver spot on it. There should not be any. Well, to say it's not terrible. eyes, but here, see right there? I don't know if I can clean that off. I'm gonna try. Sometimes it's possible. Wipe off real paint. No, I'm just gonna have to touch that with a piece of black paint, a tiny bit of black. Okay, I'll do the touch up on here. There's tiny bits of touching up that need to be tiny bits to touch. Bits touched. It's touched. Getting getting closer, being done. Every tiny little dot of paint is one tiny dot of paint closer to being done. The thing that's most surprising to me, I can still do this at all. Meaning tiny little dots of paint like that. So there will need to be some tiny dots of black paint on the door handle area. Oh yeah, I need to do this. This is I'm going to use a slightly larger brush. I should have done this when I first painted it, but it it was on a holder. But I need to paint. Let me do this way. I need to paint the edges. Paint is gooping up on me. Gooping up. That's another technical term that isn't really a term at all. The paint is starting to dry. It gets gelatinous and it doesn't cover well. But I need to paint this because when I put it in, when I test fit it, I could see that the unpainted parts were actually showing a little bit. So this is an opportunity to rectify that situation. That means try to fix it. At least around the sides and the top. I think Oh, oh, plastic's pretty uneven there. Okay, well, when I do the black touch up, touch that spot as well. Okay, I'm going to do infinitesimal tiny little spots of black touch up. Do I need any on here? I think that's okay. Okay, let's see what I can do here. First thing I'm going to do is fix this a little bit there. Okay. I find this black on black just the most difficult thing in the world. It's not the most difficult thing in the world. I find it difficult because it's really difficult to see the edge of the brush, the tip of the brush, because it's black on black. I have to start away from where I want the paint to go. This is how I have to do it. I don't know how you can do it. Gradually move the brush up forward. Paint to go. Now that'll do. What did I just bump into? Fortunately, it was black on black. Okay, that'll do. And on the pedal here, just a little bit. Pedals actually came out. Pedals came out better than I thought they would. So one more look at the door handles. That'll be okay. That'll be okay. That spot. Yeah, almost, but didn't quite disappear. Is there anything? Just a bit of that glossy black just on the. need to do this, but I think I need to. Oh, there was some here. Forgot about this bit. I tried to fix something and then I unfixed it. That seems to happen, I try to. Plastic is just uneven there, just uneven enough to be a problem. That's just going to have to be. Oh, a tiny spot down here I didn't see before. Hmm. It looks like it's just been painted, but that's what it is. When it's inside the car, viewed from at least 18 inches away. Oh my, I just mashed the whole point tip of my brush. Whoa, that was bad. Yeah, when it's not under magnification and it's 18 inches away under indirect lighting, I think it'll look fine. What I'm going to attempt to do now, after I clean this brush and put these back on in a minute, is I'm going to get the white chalk pencil out. It is out. I'm just going to put it in my hand. And I am going to try to make these numbers appear. I'm getting it where I don't want it, but I've discovered that I can use the point of a toothpick and clean it off. And that's what I'm going to do now, is I want a very, very sharp point of a toothpick, which this isn't. Where's my other toothpick? There it is. This one has a much sharper point, which I will sand to an even sharper point. And if I get a little bit of water on it, it will pick up the chalk dust from where I don't want it. At least it has worked in the past. Oh, cool. So did you play last week while I was gone? Did you have a game, Amon? Did you have a game last week while I was away? So it's the Game of Thrones Is that like your one off, I think? Why is this not working? There's a little bit of silver paint on the tip of it, and the paint is harder than when it dries, it's actually harder than the wood and, isn't coming off. Oh, okay. That should be a lot of fun. I think that'd be really cool. I hope dragons don't eat you right away. I don't want the dragons to eat you until a little bit later. See, that's working. It's picking off these little bits of, uh, you can actually see that that's an 80 and that's a 40 and that's a 0. Pretty cool. Those spots that need a touch up. I made that noise because I need to get the black paint out and touch the spot. Really didn't want to have to do that, but looks like I do. Okay, now I'm gonna try this. It's an infinitesimally small little pointer here. Red. Oh no. Hmm. Oh. Okay, well, that could be an interesting interplay of things. Okay, I'm going to, I really was hoping to avoid this, but I need to do a little bit of black touch up now because I don't know, the paint just kind of squeezed off somehow, scraped off. And I need to do this. I need to do this slowly because I'm getting a little bit impatient. Started to get a tiny bit impatient. think that actually looks okay. Um, one tiny bit. I'm supposed to put this in the middle here where I can find it again. Tiny bit more red. Okay, I'm declaring this complete. I'm going to stop messing with it. What I'm going to do now. Oh, okay. Well, that was pretty effective. Oh my! Congratulations on the crit. Did the light go out? There we go. Okay, what I'm doing here is there's a medallion with a parrot in it of all things in the center of the steering wheel, and I am attempting to put the red circle in. Well, almost. I don't know why the red isn't going on the silver. Well, it's closer to what it should be than it was. So I'm going to leave that. Okay, I'm just going to leave that. Well, what I've done today, let me stretch my back a little bit here and do a recap because things it doesn't show very there isn't much of it, okay, but actually some significant things have occurred. Okay, I got the steering wheel, got the steering wheel made to look like wood, and I got the medallion in the middle looking kind of like it should. I got the rest of the dashboard completed, okay, and it came out okay, including the little dials on the tachometer and the oil pressure gauge. I did get the door handles and window cranks done. Is that a dust? Yeah, there's just little white dust particles. Okay. Just to say, I've got a little magic. I got the pedals. The pedals actually came out okay. Okay, and on the other side, so um, at this point, actually, the interior, once the paint dries on all of this, the interior is ready for assembly. Um, that means putting the dashboard on, the seats in, the shift lever, the steering column, and the steering wheel. So on Friday, I don't think I'm going to try it today. I don't want to get cement all over stuff and just make, you know, something something is okay now. I don't want to mess it up by getting cement on it. So this stuff is going to sit and rest and dry. Um, this is the stick shift there. The door handles, I'm going to forget the door handles. And I want to put the seats in and not be able to get the door handles on. Yeah, that would be a problem. Here, this is what I'm going to do. This is kind of silly, and it'll probably cause a problem. I'm going to put the door handles. What's going to happen is I'm going to lift that up and not notice that they're there. Oh, no, no, this is what I'm going to do. Watch. This is this is thinking ahead. Are you afraid of a little girl? That's pretty funny. I'm thinking ahead here to the mistakes that I'm going to make. Okay. So one mistake is I'm going to forget to put the door handles on. The other mistake is I will do something so I don't forget to put the door handles on and then end up losing them. But I'm going to put them on a little piece of paper towel on the inside here. And hopefully that will accomplish two things. One is I will remember to put them on, and the other is that I won't lose them. Is that? But then when I do that, I find that there is that dust or a little piece of, no, that needs to be touched up. Really. Despite the fact that there's primer on there, I keep ending up with tiny dots where the black paint flakes off somehow. I don't know how that happens. It's just exceptionally annoying. I suppose I could touch that up after they're attached, but better now than later. Okay, so there. Yeah, that happens, doesn't it? Nobles are like that. Like, oh, I own everything. I run everything. I'm your boss. And then they don't do anything and they send you to your death. It's just the way it is, I guess, in medieval life. Um, Try to clean the brush. I'm making an effort to get the paint out of the brush. And then what I'm going to do is show you all the parts that need to go into the interior here. Not all of them. I'm not going to show you the seats because the seats are in a box and I have to reach over all of this to get to the box, and that would be bad. I just know what will happen. I'll knock something down and make a mess of it. So what I'm going to do though is move these paper towels out of the way after I put this back in its sleeve. Oh, I like that. Okay, that's a very good saying that uh, one should remember. So these parts need to be cleaned up. I'm just going to move this over. So these door handles, let me get a thing with which to point. These door handles go here and here, and there's little protrusions onto which they are supposed to cement. Okay. This dashboard goes here. It attaches these little tabs on the end attached to these little divots here. The gear shift lever, which is this bit here, that goes there. Okay. The steering column, which is in here, and I'm not going to open it up at this moment, goes attaches to that little prong there, and then the steering wheel goes into the steering column. And what I need to remember is to test fit all these parts before I attempt to put it together. Because what could happen, for example, is that the hole in the steering column that's supposed to go on that little prong isn't big enough, and then it won't fit. That would be bad. Or the prong that's on the back of the steering wheel might not go into the steering column, and that would be bad. So what I should do, what I actually should do is write myself a note. I'm going to do that. I'm going to, since I'm talking out loud here about what I should do and what could possibly go wrong, because if it could go wrong, odds are pretty high that it will, is I'm going to write myself a note on this piece of scrap paper. Test fit all the parts, especially steering. Yeah, that might help me remember. All right. So what's going to happen now is I'm just going to get the file and the sanding paper out. I need to get the sprue marks off of these panels so that they can be test fit. Actually, what I can do, I got a half hour. If I get these done, I might even prime them. I might be able to prime them between now and Friday. And if I can do that, I might be able to do some. Oh my, this is bad. They're just flashing all around the edges of this. A lot of flashing. What I mean by that is, as you know by now, is the excess plastic that oozes out. I'm going to clean these up as well as I can, and I actually am going to prime them between now and Friday. And then what I'll do on Friday is I'm going to test fit the parts. Okay. And if they need further manipulation, I can always reprime them. I know that sounds like double work, but actually it's a good idea because sometimes things look okay and until after they're primed, and then the priming shows flaws. So if they are okay, then I can move right along with painting the insides of these flat black, and even considering attaching them to the car body. And if they're not okay, well, then I'll know that's not okay, and I'll know it in time to be able to redo the work. But yeah, I when I took these off the trees, the sprue, I could tell that there was a lot of excess plastic that oozed out because it was even attached to the sprue. It was very messy. The license plate goes here. I don't know if there's a license plate holder or not. There should be. Feeling around the edges. think that's the front. This is the back. At some point, I need to deal with the taillights. What the model should have done is they should have had chrome frame, okay, with clear red plastic inserts for the taillights, but no, they didn't. It's just chromed with instructions to paint it red. Terrific, right? So red gloss paint doesn't look like like taillights. Just looks like paint, pretty much, which is fine if it's a painted surface like a car body, right? Or even a dial pointer, but not for taillights. So what they should have done was a chrome frame with red clear inserts, which some models actually do, so that they look like, the plastic, because they were plastic taillights. So what I'm going to attempt to do with that, this is one of those things that doesn't need to be done, but I'm going to try it anyway because I think it would be a cool thing to do if it worked, is I'm going to put red paint into the divots where the taillights are, the inserts, right, inside the chrome framing, and get the paint fairly thin. And I'm going to use this canopy cement that creates it's clear. It dries really clear. And if I can put a little bit of it inside the frame, it would it would give it a gloss that would make it look more like a taillight. And things could go horribly wrong. Um, I hope not, but I think it would look a whole lot better than just red paint. The, the thing that could go horribly wrong is that, the stuff gets outside the chrome frame, in which case then it just looks like a mess. So I'm going to try to avoid just having it look like a mess. We'll see how that goes. I think I need to leave. I don't know. They've got molding circles on the insides of these things. I don't know if they're going to show or not. I'm going to sand that one off. I really don't know. These are going to show. These are these are not good on the louver panels. Usually I don't like to use a file, but in this case I'm just cleaning up the very, very edge where scratch marks aren't going to show. And also, um, I can I can do a straight edge and not have like a divot, which is something I don't want. An indent. You know, and where was the screw on this? Right on the back. Yeah, great. I used to have one of these files that had a slightly curved. One side was flat and the other side was curved. And that was a really handy thing to have, especially here where it's slightly curved. But I don't know where it went. It disappeared a year ago in, I don't know, one of the cleanups or shuffles or something that happened down here, and it never reappeared. which is really too bad because it would be very handy to have in a situation like this. So these parts can be primed. They need to be primed front and back. Um, excuse me. I don't want 350. I want the 400. All my little scraps of sandpaper here. Well, the scrap will do. There's just molding circles here that are going to show on the inside, and there's not supposed to. There's not supposed to be molding circles there. There's supposed to be louvers there. They did not mold in louvers. They molded in circles. Very, very not good. Very not good. Very, very incoherent talking there. Yay, incoherent talking. And there's one on either end. So sand down one side and flip it around and sand the other side. And of course, these are not raised circles, they're indented circles, so that a whole lot of plastic needs to come off to make them disappear. Another one of these things where after I prime it, sometimes it looks like, oh, I successfully got rid of the circle. And then I prime it and they're still visible, which is disappointing, but then it has to be redone. Now, at the rate this is going is going to use up the rest of the stream. Yeah, it's another one of those, oh, this should take about 5 minutes, and then it takes 20. There's this, one saying is if you're doing like a renovation or a construction or something, it's your estimates, and then plan on it taking twice as long and costing twice as much, which isn't always true. Sometimes it's in on time and on budget. Sometimes it's much more over budget and late. But for for the purpose of this model and all of the other stuff that I've done, because you've seen it over and over, it's like it's not twice as long. It's not twice as expensive because unless I'm buying paint or a brush or something, I'm not spending money, but it's not a linear thing. Okay. It's not, oh, it's going to be twice times two. No, it's an exponential thing. So it's like, it's not going to take twice as long. It's going to take two squared times as long. That's what happened with the wheels and the tires. I thought it'd take about 10 minutes and it took about 100 minutes. 10 squared, it's not just 10 times 2 twice as long, 10 squared, so it took almost 100 minutes. Seriously, it did. What could that possibly be? Because the rubber tires, it's an old kit. The rubber tires had hardened, and the wheels didn't fit nice. They didn't slide nicely inside the tires, going at all. And they needed to be sanded down and reduced in diameter. In one case, I actually had to scrape out the inside of the tire to make it larger. That was a pain. So if I can get rid of these circles, I'm going to mount these bits on a piece of cardboard as usual for priming. I might just let this, I'm gonna let the stream keep going until I'm done, even if it goes a little long. Yesterday, I ended a little, not yesterday, Monday, I ended a little early because it just got to, I don't have anything to do that I can reasonably get done in the next 10 minutes or so. I'd really like to get these primes so I can work on them again on Friday. Excuse me. I don't know. I've got hiccups, but I do. Part of the grumping is about this. You know, the sandpaper comes in really nice fine grits. The sheets are a good, decent size, but it clogs up. You can see the plastic gets in the grit, and then it doesn't grit anymore. It doesn't sand. That's the downside of these is that they get used up in the sense that it stops being abrasive way too way too quickly. I don't think you can see it on camera, but the way I can tell whether the circles are gone or not, that one went quickly. That hardly ever happens. Usually the second one takes way longer than the first one because this was really quite shallow. Is the sandpaper roughs up the surface so it's matte rather than gloss, but the circle's indented, and so it stays glossy until it's gone. That's one thing I learned about doing this is that you can tell when something's done or not. Um, there's a circle here that I think is going to show. So this bit here is going to get sanded until that circle is gone. I'm leaving the other circles here and here for now. I'm hoping, this is a hope, that after I test fit them and I check to see whether they're visible or not, I'm hoping that they won't be. But if they are, then I'll need to get in there and make them go away, which is not going to be easy because they're just in an awkward spot. Another one of those. Well, I suppose I could test fit this. Yeah, maybe I can. Maybe I can test fit these before I prime them. The body is just in this box over here. Here, it doesn't have anything cemented onto it or with anything like that. So this goes on like this. Actually goes on on the back. Yeah. So I don't know. I actually at this point am baffled. I don't know how this fits like that. Okay, it fits like that. Or at least it's supposed to fit like that, but it doesn't. Oh my. Okay, that's gonna be an issue. The as I'm test fitting this. Okay, it goes on like this. Supposedly doesn't Does a bumper go over that? I hope. Okay, if you look at it from the bottom, and if you were to turn this over and look at it, those circles are just really obvious. Wow, these fit really poorly. I'm really gonna have to try to decide what to do about that. Fit on the inside of this. Okay, it fits on the inside. That's better. Hmm, not good. That one's really not good. It's just that they hang over the edges. This is the if this goes on like this, okay, and it's supposed to fill in, I'm gonna have to see what it looks like with the bumper, because that just it protrudes in an awkward way. I don't know if that's supposed to be like an air dam. They didn't make them like that back then. Okay, well, I'm glad I'm messing with that because they just don't fit. So there's no sense priming them, these parts anyway. At this point, that's disappointing because they just don't fit. How about these? Yeah, yeah. That's not that great either, is it? Is it upside down maybe? Yeah. Okay, that fits on there. That's okay, so I can do that. Hmm. The other one fit. This one just kind of flops around. I guess that will do. Well, no, duh. That is really dumb. They go on like this. The louvers are on the outside. They fit. They're supposed to fit like this from the outside. In which case that fits poorly. It looks like it's just sort of bolted on, which it actually in reality was. Okay, well, the front and rear panels just are very bad fit. This is this one fits really quite well. Okay, it fits in there pretty flush. Okay, the other one on this side does not. Sure where the problem actually is. Well, it can be made to fit. All right, so I can get these done. Not much, but it's something. And get those in on Friday. So on Friday, going to assemble the inside of the car. Here on Friday, I'm going to assemble the passenger compartment. At the dashboard and the steering wheel, and the door handles, and the seats, and the steering column, and the stick shift. I'm going to stick all those parts on. Okay. I was hoping to get more done on Friday, but that'll be something. Okay. And then I'll work on these guys. These guys are kind of ready to go. I can paint them and maybe even assemble them. But these bits here, the front and rear panels, they really don't fit at all. I was test fitting them and just nope, not happening, not good. So these guys just have to go in the go in this pile of ill-fitting body panels. And on Friday, I guess what I'll be doing is seeing what it takes to get them to work. So thanks for dropping in. Thanks, Aman. Thanks for coming back, and I hope your session goes well. Um, these guys, I might as well get them going, huh? Might as well paint the insides of them metallic and install them in the body of the car, and yeah, at least have that done. So thanks. I got some stuff done. A lot of tiny little pieces, little bits of pieces. This I should put in here. Lots of little pieces of tiny touching paint and little dots of paint and stuff, and a bunch of detail, but it came out okay, and that's good. But yeah, I'll work on these. I'm gonna work on test fitting pieces onto the body. I think on on Friday. It's this bit here that's supposed to go there. Okay, and this bit here that's supposed to go in front. And I might need to pull out the bumpers to see if I test fit those exactly how messy it turns out to be. Okay, just in terms of getting them to fit at all so that they look okay. Yeah, that's going to be a thing. But it's getting closer to being done, which is kind of a shock, really. I expected this to take all summer, and it might still, depending on how the rest of it goes. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Aman. Hopefully, I'll see you on Friday, and as I continue to make infinitesimally small progress on the Ford GT350. See you then.